What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox. Today, I'm coming at ya with another edition of Spoiler Talk, Part 4. I did this video earlier today, and OBS just was not collaborating with me. A whole bunch of stream errors happened midway, and I just threw my hands up in the air and decided, stuff it, I'm going to delete this and start from the beginning. So here we go. Unfortunately for me, during that time between one stream and the next, it seems like more spoilers have been added to the list. I mean, there was 80 cards spoiled on July 1st, and then I've got to do another 48, and that's not even going to be all of them. Oh, I don't know if anyone's already seen this Demi Lich. I can't wait till we talk about this one because this is looking ridiculous. But anyway, before I get carried away, let's start spoiler one. That's July's spoilers. July 1st spoilers. First one we have here is the Dwarf Hold Champion. Man, I was really looking forward to having a 1-mana red dwarf. We've been given another 2-mana white dwarf, but never say never. Spoiler season is not over yet. This one says that as long as Dwarf Hold Champion is equipped, it gains +0/+2. Pretty nice, actually. This dwarf equipment deck has been looming for quite some time now, and I think this dwarf from even before official spoiler season started. I don't know if you guys remember me going over this one. Brenor Battle Hammer, Dwarf Warrior, 4-drop, legendary, Boros colors, so everything fitting in. And it says that each equipped creature you control gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. So this is starting to be pretty cool. I can't wait to give it a try. I've been trying this equipment deck for so long, since Nahiri came into standard in, I think it was Zendikar Rising, and then it just hasn't quite coalesced into what I was hoping. So fingers crossed. Let's see more dwarfs. Let's see more good equipments come out of the set. Maybe it'll finally become a thing, especially once Embercleave rotates out of standard. Next up we have, I'm going to go through these quite quickly, just because there's so many of them. I will stop and talk about ones that particularly interest me or that I think have a good home in a future standard deck. Otherwise, I might just skip over them pretty quickly, and I apologize for that. But yeah, there's plenty of other people doing spoiler videos on YouTube about the new sets. I'm sure you are spoiled for choice right now. Also, by the way, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It would really help me out. And of course, don't forget to give a thumbs up and leave comments and do all of that good stuff that happens beneath this video. So moving on, the next one is called Keen-Eared Sentry. You have hexproof. You cannot be target of spells or abilities your opponent controls. Your opponent can't venture into the dungeon more than once each turn. Interesting. This is like, there's a 2 white mana enchantment that I was running in a deck under a week ago that makes you hexproof as well, but only from not really hexproof. It gives you protection from a specific card. This is a little bit better even, although it's very easy to remove. Interesting. I guess for one turn you can sort of stop them from venturing into the dungeon if that becomes such an important thing for you to kind of slow down. We'll have to see. Next up, we have Bar the Gate. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell and venture into the dungeon. Finally! I've been waiting for an instant speed venture into the dungeon. This is the first one I've seen. Of course, it had to be a freaking counterspell. But still, pretty cool. Also, good flavor text. Love this art. Wow. This path is closed to you. Has a very Gandalf-esque, you shall not pass. Counter target creature or planeswalker. Maybe a 2 of in some spells, in some decks. It's kind of like a better Essence Scatter for 1 more mana, which does potentially 3 things or 2 things, but has you can choose between 2 and then definitely do the third. That's pretty cool. I like that. I think that's going to see a lot of play actually in limited for sure, and definitely in standard as well. Countering that Ugin and venturing into the dungeon. Although I guess any other sort of counterspell cost is the same, and you don't have to only be looking out for planeswalkers and creatures. But we'll have to see how important venture into the dungeon becomes in the meta. If it is very important, then this is going to see a heap ton of play. It's the first instant speed card with venture into the dungeon that I've seen. Next up we have Fly, an enchantment aura for 1 blue. Enchanted creature has flying, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Give 1 creature evasion, keep attacking in, venture through a dungeon quickly. Put it on a double striker. Get 2 ventures into the dungeon per turn. Well, just off of 1 card, because you can do it. You can get plenty. You could complete a whole dungeon in a turn, from what I'm seeing. Ray of Frost. So this is a new thing again, coming back, because we used to have a lot more of this in old Magic sets when I was playing paper, where there's specific cards that are like just for a specific matchup. I don't think you're going to want to be playing Ray of Frost in your main deck, but something that you can sideboard in against mono red, because it says that it has flash, first of all, pretty good. Then when Ray of Frost enters the battlefield, if enchanted creature is red, tap it. Enchanted creature, beg your pardon, enchanted creature is red, tap it. If enchanted creature, it loses all abilities as long as it is red. So it's like specifically, it's still can be cast on something that isn't red, but then it just doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So at that point, you might as well be playing Charmed Sleep or something like that. So this is better against mono red. Maybe a sideboard card against dragons. Goldspan Dragon. You put this on it. I don't think it also will trigger the Goldspan Dragon's ability, because it's not a instant and sorcery. It's kind of the same reason why you can exile a Bone Crusher Giant with Banishing Light without taking 3 damage. So I think this could be pretty cool against dragons, especially Goldspan or let's say Velomachus or any other red dragon. This is going to be pretty good. I think this is probably why it exists. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Uncommon. Next up we have a Black Dwarf. We've never had a dwarf in black, at least for a while that I can remember. 1/4 for 3. Skullport Merchant. When it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Oh, and then it has pay 2, sacrifice another creature or treasure, draw a card. Ooh, epic. Man, I can't wait to build me a sweet, sweet dwarf deck. This is maybe going to lead into some kind of a Mardu dwarfs. I'm all about the tribal decks, we all know that. Then, we have this new creature type. Well, I don't know if it's new, but it's new in the set. Where it's, it's human and elf. This is looking pretty cool. There's this Selesnya card I wonder if I can. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly bring up my Arena client. I won't show it to you guys, but I'll just have it open in the background so that I'll tab in and out and do a bit of searching while I think of cool things. I don't want to just be umming and ahhing and guessing at names throughout the entire stream. I want to give you guys some correct information. But there is a Selesnya saga that came out in Kaldheim. that creates a human token on the first chapter, creates an elf token on the second chapter. The name of the card I am looking for is Battle for Brettigard, I think. And then choose any number of artifact tokens and or creature tokens you control with different names. For each of them, create a token that's a copy of it. I think that might go really sweetly. And then with Maya, Brettigard Protector, whenever a land enters the battlefield and you control, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Sort of like there was I love it when they do this. Like 2 sets ago, they start sort of getting you ready for this elves and humans, and then suddenly Dungeons and Dragons set drops, and now we've got elf humans or human elves. So pretty cool. Vigilance, Stunning Strike, 1 and a white, tap target creature. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. There's a cat, a Selesnya cat. Oh, I already had Selesnya open on my browser. What's his name? The Frontland Felidar that has creatures you control with vigilance have 1 tap target creature. This is costs 1 more, but for the same thing, because with vigilance you can attack and it stays untapped, and then you pay untap and you tap target creature before they can declare blockers. So pretty cool. I like that. Next up we have a Cult Elemental. 6 mana for a 2/5 flying. When it enters the battlefield, return 1 other target creature to its owner's hand. Nah, this is probably mostly limited nonsense. How do I pronounce this thing? Mordekainen's Polymorph? Mordekainen's Polymorph. Your purpose may change along with your shape, but you will serve regardless. Until end of turn, target creature becomes a dragon with base power and toughness 4/4 and gains flying. For 2 mana. 2 mana. I like. Misa likey. Interesting. I wonder if they still see any play. Keep your eyes peeled. I've so noticed this with either hub. It gives you the, it's not coming right up. It's not loading. I guess they mean they're going to be updating the website and putting it in there when it arrives. But anyway, you can still click on it and see Fate's Reversal. I wonder if there's because they often have different versions. No, there's no Fate's Reversals around here, so that's the only one. Fate's Reversal. Return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. What color is this? I love it how the background here, I don't know if you guys can make that out. It says Colossal Dreadmore. Just checking on my stream, beg your pardon. Okay, everything seems perfect. I wonder which, I'm pretty sure this will be a black card. Common. Venture into the dungeon. Okay, we'll talk about that more once it is properly spoiled. Next up we have Feign Death. Instant speed, 1 black. Until the end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its opponent's control with a 1/1 counter on it. Oh, epic. That's like a strictly better version of Malakir's, what was the name of the black one that does that? That's an MDFC. Malakir Rebirth. Because you lose 2 life with Malakir Rebirth, although it is stapled onto the back of a land, so it could be, on the front of an MDFC land, so that, might make it better. But the addition of having +1/+1 counters is definitely an upside, in my opinion. This is going to, at least I'm really excited to play with this card. There's a lot of this with Grackmore. Underplayed card was overlooked in my opinion. I've been trying to break it for a long time. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Grackmore was a Zendikar Rising card that came out. It's a legendary Hydra Horror that comes into play with 3 +1/+1 counters, and when it dies, you create a XX black and green Hydra creature token where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Grackmore. So if you have a sacrificer, for example, like there's a few good ones that came out of the new set, like maybe Tend the Pests, So you sacrifice, as an additional cost to the spell, sacrifice a creature to tend the pest. You create, let's say it's you've made it into a 4/4. So for 3 mana, you tend the pests and feign death. You create a 4/4 Hydra creature token. You create 4 X/1/1 black pests, and it comes back with another token on it. So it's a 4/4 again. So I mean, the amount of creatures that you would at that point have 4, 5, 6 creatures on the battlefield off of 4 mana. Ooh. Maybe I can finally make my Golgari counters deck work with that. Looking forward to playing Feign Death. Absolutely epic. Shambling Ghast. A 1 black pip creature zombie that has 2 modes. When Shambling Ghast dies, you can choose one. Brave the Stench. Target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn, typical sort of zombie fashion, or search the body, create a treasure token. Epic. Man, there's going to be so many treasures. It's this is going to get crazy. This is going to get absolutely crazy. I'm so hyped for this set. Dice spinning, tokens everywhere, dragons, dungeons. Oh my god, this is going to be so epic. This zombie ogre, I remember, okay, this is the point where I'd gotten at in my previous stream before I did delete everything. This is definitely draft chaff. Zombie ogre for 5 mana that ventures into the dungeon when it dies. It's definitely the type of stuff you'd be playing in draft. So we can quickly move on from that. Next up, we have a human shaman, Chaos Channeler, Wild Magic Surge. Whenever Chaos Channeler attacks, roll a d20. So now we're starting to see this isn't just a one-off in a few cards that we were spoiled earlier in spoiler season. This is now 100% like a recurring thing. It's going to be on many cards in the set, and there's going to be payoffs for rolling off on other cards, even if you're doing the trigger happens because of Chaos Chandler, for example. There'll be other cards that say whenever you roll a dice, do so and so, and there's going to be all these triggers going off every time you roll. I also saw a fairy that's in tomorrow's video. Keep your eyes peeled for that in tomorrow's spoilers that have already come out. But I'm only going to be doing the video tomorrow. That essentially I think lets you roll again every time you do roll. Epic. So this is gonna get crazy. So anyway, it says that whenever you roll a d, so you can 1 to 9, you can exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. 10 to 19, you exile the top 2 cards from your library. You may play them this turn. And then if you hit the hard to hit 20, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. Interesting. Trying to think, what this could replace in mono red. Maybe not RDW, maybe some sort of other type of red deck that is, I'm hoping, going to emerge from the meta without it being just the usual slam creatures, attack face. And then once Fervent Champion, Robber of the Rich, Torbran, Embercleave, all that crap leaves standard after rotation in September, then something new, something different style of play. I really hope so, both for myself and for mono red players, because I would be getting bored if I was one of them. Next up, we have Earth Cult Elemental. So reminding me of this guy, Air Cult Elemental, Earth Cult Elemental. Same mana cost, different mana color. Except this one's a 6/6, this is a 5/2/5 with flying. This is another dice roller. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we roll a d20. 1 to 9, each player sacrifices a permanent. Cool. Except you sacrifice one yourself. Meh. 10 to 19, each opponent sacrifices a permanent, so that's probably quite likely. Or if you hit the magical 20, and then each opponent sacrifices 2 permanents. In a commander game, every time it says each opponent, it's meant for commander or, multiple player games. So this will be crazy in a commander game, I guess, but I don't think it'll see much play in standard. Kick in the door. 1 mana sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. This creature gains haste until end of turn. It can't be blocked by walls this turn. Venture into the dungeon. Cool. Nice, I like this. Anytime I see these cool little one mana spells, I'm thinking Magecraft. I'm thinking, oh, there's so many good uses for them. I wonder if anyone's watching this, if you could comment on whether you hear this train outside my house. The house I'm at now is right next to a train track, and they go through. I mean, it's 3:20 in the morning now, and there's trains the whole night. And I'm about to invest in a new microphone that's going to be much higher quality, and I'm hoping that it won't pick that up. I might have to shut my door when I stream. Kick in the door. Interesting. Here's the new X and something red card for the set, and I like it a lot. And you know why that is? Because red doesn't have a card right now that for 4 can take out something like an Elder Gargaroth. It peaks, in standard at least, at um, 5 damage with Soulseer. Then, of course, there is Perforberos Intervention. There is the new one from Strixhaven called Crackle with something Crackle. You know, that have X and can do more than 8 even to something. But this, if you read it properly, Meteor Swarm deals 8 damage divided as you choose among X target creatures. So you just make X 1 and then you pay 3, so 4 in total, and you can do 8 to one target creature or planeswalker. So you can get rid of a Professor Onyx just before she does her ultimate. Boom, in one go. You can get rid of another Gargaroth. You can get rid of so many cards that are bigger than 5 damage, which was, you know, we were stuck with Soulseer, as I said. So I'm really happy about this. It would be even better if it was instant speed, of course, but that would have made it a little bit too busted, perhaps. But still, 4 mana for 8 damage to any target, to any creature or planeswalker is really good. And I love the flavor text as well. Sometimes one fireball isn't enough. Epic, epic. Really looking forward to playing that. Aha! Another one of these instants that sounds like a question your dungeon master might ask you during a game of Dungeons and Dragons. You come to a null camp. What do? You either intimidate them or fend them off. So up to 2 target creatures can't block this turn is intimidate them. Instant speed for 2. Interesting. I like. This is going to be really freaking annoying in mono red. They cast it just before the attack step. You thought you were going to survive because you have blockers, and then 2 of those blockers can't block, and they get through for the final damage. This is going to be really good. I think this is going to get a lot of play. And the second one is target creature gets +3/+1 until end of turn. So you can either use it before combat, and because they've only got 2 blockers, and you tap both of them, or render them unable to block, or you do it during combat when they maybe only block one of your creatures and let another one through, and all you need is to make it a little bit bigger to get through for lethal, and then you just give it +3/+1, and it's a GG. So this is, I think, going to see a lot of play. Keep your eyes peeled on my channel as well. I'm definitely going to play that card. Next up is another one of these. You find some prisoners. What do? Break their chains or interrogate them. This is super good as well. I saw this spoiled on Dev's channel, SBMTG. By the way, I highly recommend go checking him out. He's freaking epic. I love his spoiler videos. Really, really good. Go check him out. Seriously, do yourself a favor. It might not be for everybody, his sense of humor and everything, but I really like his style. And he has some seriously good takes on this set, and he nailed like 3 out of 4 of his predictions came right. He guessed the D20 dice rolling, he guessed the dungeons. So yeah, go check out his stuff. Free plug, buddy, if you're watching this. I doubt he is, but that would be nice to know if he does. The next one is called Interrogate Them. So you can either, for 2 mana at instant speed, destroy target artifact, which is typical for red. There's plenty of cards that do that, but then there's another mode that says exile the top 3 cards of a target opponent's library, choose one of them, and until the end of your next turn, you may play that card, and you may spend mana as the mana of any color to cast it. Interesting. This is usually the type of stuff that is reserved for Dimir or blue. So it's pretty cool that red's doing this type of stuff now. And it's totally on point with the name of the card and everything. You know, you interrogate them, they give you some little bit of information, then you use that to your advantage against the opponent. So pretty cool. Zalto. Zalto, the incredible Zalto. Sounds like a magician's name. Giant Barbarian for 5 mana, 3 and 2 red. Legendary creature with trample that is a 7/3, and whenever it is dealt damage, they enter into the dungeon. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Giants are definitely a thing since Kaldheim. I wonder if this will find a place in the giant deck and make it better and give it the ability to venture into dungeons. It's a bit expensive, has a bit of a low toughness. We'll have to see. Still, I love the art and the name. Zalto! Boulette. So this is one that is missing the image, but it is actually down here, so we can go and have a look at it down here. I quite like this D&D rulebook art as well, but I prefer the normal ones, to be honest. I won't be buying these on Arena for sure, unless you get them for free with the progression and the season pass or whatever. Boulette. Creature beast. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Boulette. Oh yes, I had spotted a synergy in my previous video, and then so it's green. This I will mention it once we get to Shesra, because there's some cool little things happening here with the pay to life. Yeah, and there's something and with the Book of Wild Darkness. So black, green, life, death, reanimation, zombies, counters. I'm seeing some crazy potential. I cannot wait to get in the lab and start theory crafting with this stuff. Whew. Only, so today is already the 2nd in my country where I'm recording from. We have 6 days to go until the set hits Arena. Find the path. Enchantment Aura. Enchant land. When it enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. Enchanted land has add 2 instead of 1. I think this is the new Wolfwillow Haven. Costs 1 more, but you get to adventure into the dungeon. I like it. I really like it. You can't make it a wolf token, but you know, venturing into the again, it depends. It's going to depend on how good the dungeons are once people figure out exactly where they fit and how to play them and da da da. If venturing into the dungeon becomes important, then this is definitely going to be the replacement for Wolfwillow Haven, even though it's 1 mana more expensive. Froghemoth. This is probably my favorite card from today. Maybe second favorite. I'll show you which one my favorite is in a moment, but I think it's really, really good. I think this is really, 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 really good. Not only do I love the drawing, but it's costed at the same as a Goldspan Dragon. 5 mana, 3 and 2. Goldspan is 3 and 2 mountains. This is 3 and 2 forests. For a frog horror. So, behemoth and frog mashing together, what do you get? A froghemoth. Yeah. And it has haste, just like the Goldspan Dragon, and it's a 4/4, just like the Goldspan Dragon, and it has trample instead of flying. So it's not evasion, but it's this is very similar to Goldspan, and then it does something straight away when it comes into play. So you can drop it, attack, and then it reads this: whenever Froghemoth deals combat damage to a player, exile up to that many target cards from their graveyard. So if they don't block it and you swing in for 4, you're exiling 4 cards from their graveyard, and then you put a +1/+1 counter on Froghemoth for each creature exiled this way, and you gain 1 life for each non-creature card exiled this way. So this is going to be great against cycling. It's going to be great against reanimated decks. They're highly incentivized to block it somehow. Otherwise, you're going to be growing this into a bigger than a 4/4 pretty quickly, in my opinion. So Look out for Froghemoth. I think it's coming to a mono green stompy deck near you. I'm gonna definitely be trying to make a lot of decks based around this card. Next up we have Knoll Hunter. Creature Knoll for 2 with Pack Tactics. Whenever Knoll Hunter attacks, if you attacked with creature's total power of 6 or greater this combat, put a +1/+1 counter on Knoll Hunter. It's not better than the Wolf thingy-majiggy. This one, the Pack Leader. It's also a 2-drop. I think this will see more play than that. Maybe in draft, or maybe some Selesnya counters deck, but the 2-drop slot is already so full in the Selesnya counters decks. Also in mono green counters decks, I think the Horn Beetle is strictly better than this. Unless you're trying to do more pack tactics tribal, maybe this becomes relevant. We'll have to see. I really like the drawing though. It's like some kind of hyena creature thing. Yipping and cackling, the hunters tore through the village, leaving nothing but snapped bones and burning homes in their wake. It is, they snap bones. Alright, here we're coming to some pretty cool cards. The next sort of 4 cards are hybrid, multicolored. I think that's the word for it, hybrid. Where there's half the card is white and the other half is black. This one is Azorius. So also things that we didn't see a lot of in the previous set because it was of the Strixhaven campuses. There wasn't any new Azorius cards in Strixhaven. There were no new, well, there were new with the Bloom cards, of course, because with the Bloom was one of the campuses. But what are the other ones I'm thinking of that got overlooked? Beg your pardon. Dimir, Azorius, Selesnya were not printed at all in Strixhaven, hybrid cards. So nice to see some with the inclusion of this one that I spoiled a few days ago. Where are you? Yeah, Trelasara, the Moon Dancer. Finally, some Selesnya cards to play with. It's one of my favorite color combinations, so I'm really looking forward to jamming some decks, some sweet Selesnya decks. Where was I? Yeah, Varys. Every time I see this card, I'm gonna can't help but think of Varys from Game of Thrones, the little bald dude, the ballless. What do they call those? A castrati or a? Oh my goodness, what's the actual word for that? It's not. I mean, it is one word, castrati, but the other one is a Enoch. Varys, Silver Moon Ranger, legendary creature, human elf. So again with that dual human elf. Keep your eyes peeled. I think there's going to be something to this. They wouldn't have just introduced it for nothing. This is a good one of those. For 3 mana, 1 and 2 green, it is 3/3 with reach and ward. Whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, venture into the dungeon. So you can have this ability trigger only once each turn, but whenever you complete a dungeon, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Interesting. I like a lot. I cannot wait. I'm frothing at the mouth for this new set. Next up, we have Barrowin of Clan Undur. Sounds like Isildur. A dwarf cleric in Orzhov colors. Epic. Black dwarves, man. Oh, I'm so stoked. That's the second dwarf with black that we've spoiled today. And it's a cleric. Oh my god, these are like 2 of my favorite tribes, dwarves and clerics. So keep your eyes peeled. When Barrowin of Clan Undur enters a battlefield, venture into the dungeon, and whenever it attacks, you return up to 1 creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield if you've completed a dungeon. Oh yeah. Oh, this is just up my. This is exactly the kind of card that I like playing with. I wish it was a 4/4. 3/3 is a little bit tiny, but you can put some equipments on it or something. I'm going to be playing this card for sure, ASAP. It's the new sort of, what do they call them? Gateway. Oh, that's right. Now I remember what they call these. Signpost. It's, when there's a legendary, uncommon, that's two colors. It's usually like sort of telling you what you should be doing with the set. I think Orzhov or Silver Quill will have a lot to do with this, bringing things back from the graveyard to the battlefield when you've completed dungeons and stuff like that. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the mythic rare, if there is one, that is the Silver Quill legendary signpost card. So yeah, I think that is the right word for it. Signpost cards, MTG. No, it's not. If it's not signpost, it's okay. Never mind. Yeah, signpost uncommons to send players in the right direction. That's exactly right. That's exactly what I meant. As with most core sets, and has 10 dual color archetypes and signpost uncommons to send players in the right direction. That's exactly what I meant. Yes, glad I got that one right. So the signpost uncommon for Azorius is a Hammer Pashar, the Ruin Seeker, a legendary human wizard which costs 1 and Azorius mana, white and blue. Room triggers of dungeons you own trigger an additional time. I knew they would make something like this. So now, I don't know if you guys watched my initial spoiler video when I first started doing spoiler videos. It's part 1 or spoiler talk number 1, where you can, because each time you go into the dungeon rooms, it's a thing that goes on the stack. You could essentially double those with Lithoform Engine. So if you have Lithoform Engine and Hammer Pashar, you can be cruising through dungeons at light speed. Like you could easily see, like especially the short one. What's it called again? Dungeon cards, MTG. The shorter one here, Tomb of Annihilation, with a few doubler things like I just mentioned in play, something like Lithoform Engine and Hammer Pashar. You can get through this really quickly. And for each time, so you can double the going through with the Lithoform Engine, and then you can get double things every time. So you get, you know, you lose 2 life, okay? Then the next time you can like, okay, now this is a bad one. You know what I mean? Like you can gain 2 life instead of just 1 life. You can strike twice instead of just once. You can. This is going to be cool, especially also with that instant speed adventure into the dungeon. I like this. I like it a lot. I'm still not sure how it's going to work out. Maybe I'm just talking absolute rubbish, but I think that's going to be cool. Okay, so this is a little thing I spotted yesterday with Shestra, the Death's Whisper, Bewitching Whispers. When Shestra's Death Whisper enters the battlefield, target creature blocks this turn if able. Okay, Whispers of the Grave. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, you may pay 2 life if you do draw a card. Okay, look at this. So, if you have some zombie tokens out, let's say, or some other things, Book of Wild Darkness says that at the beginning of your end step, if you lost 2 or more life this turn, you create a 2/2 black zombie. So, let's say, what's another way of losing 2 life that I can think of that's really good? There was another one down here as well. You pay 2 life. Where was it? Anyway, there's many ways in standard where you pay 2 life to do something. So where was she? Here. Oh yeah, and also roulette, where whenever a creature died this turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on roulette. Okay, stick with me here. You lose 2 life at some point, or you have some sack fodder, like, I don't know, a eye twitch, some silly little thing that is literally just there for you to, like a goat that you get from the escape guy. What's his name? Escape. Woestrider. Let's say it's a goat, token goat creature from Woestrider. You sacrifice the goat with, let's say, Village Rites or Plum the Forbidden or one of the many other sack outlets that you have. That means that a creature died this turn, right? Then, so at your end step, a creature has died. Not only have you gotten the value out of doing the thing that you sacrificed it for, like in Village Rites case, you got to draw a card. So you draw 2 cards with Village Rites, sacrifice a goat. At your end step, you pay 2 life, you draw a card, and then because you pay 2 life at the beginning of your end step, damn it doesn't work because they're both at the beginning of your end step. Damn it. I was hoping that this would be at any point. I'm so sorry. Forget everything I just said. I might still figure out a way to do that, but basically because you paid 2 life with Shesra, then you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, which then you can sacrifice again next turn to something else. And then every time you're doing that, Boulette is growing because something died this turn. So also at the beginning of your end step. I'm gonna have to figure that one out, but it looks promising regardless. Shestra, lovely card. Human Elf, again. Next up, we have the Triumphant Adventurer. This is the rare signpost card. It's a 1/1, 2-drop, Death Touch. Epic. This is going to be such a nice card. This is definitely going in my Silver Quill deck. As long as it's your turn, it has first strike. And whenever it attacks, you venture into the dungeon. So they cannot block it unless they want their thing to die. It's first strike and Death Touch. And it doesn't need to get through for the damage to venture into the dungeon. It's whenever it attacks, period. Epic card. I like this card. I like the art. I like everything about it. It's a knight. It's a human. Definitely going to see some play in my opinion. We've already spoken about Xanathar. It was spoiled a while back. I don't know why it's coming up against here. It's probably just a different... this is probably the standard drawing one. The other one down here was the extended the frame edition or whatever the hell they call those things. Where were you? Yeah, this was the borderless one or whatever. Commander card. I don't think it's going to see much play in standard at all. It's too pricey. You have to wait a whole turn before it starts to do its thing. Maybe a one-off in some Demir decks. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong. 6 mana. You have to wait till your next upkeep to do something. It's just, removal target. It does have 6 toughness, so, you need to be playing against black for it to really be removed immediately with something like a Heartless Act, for example, or Poison the Cup or whatever, but I think it's mostly a commander card. Next up we have Dungeon Map, a 3-mana artifact that has tap, add 1 colorless, so it's a mana rock, but it also has 3 venture into the dungeon. Wait, is that a secret door? I can't tell for sure. There's some blood in the way. Epic. Here's our adventure into the dungeon, special land. I don't think it should have been made rare, to be honest. I don't think it should enter the battlefield tapped. They shouldn't have nerfed this. But anyway, you can pay 4 and tap an untapped legendary creature you control and venture into the dungeon. So I guess you could pay 4, tap Magda, create a treasure token because Magda's legendary, and then venture into the dungeon. It's kind of like what they're doing with the Jaspera Sentinel and Magda, where you're tapping it for another reason. So you don't actually have to attack with a 2-1, which will just get blocked and killed. And you can still keep making those treasures, those sweet, sweet treasures. By the way, you can also do that with vehicles and Magda. Little tip there if you haven't already come across that. We've already seen Eben Death Lich, we've already seen Zalto, we've already seen Boulette, we've already seen the Null Hunter, we've already seen Varus, Barrow, Wind Clan of Undur, Hamsha. Yeah, these are just alternate arts of the ones we've just looked at. Shestra, wow, that's a nice drawing. Hello, baby mama. I like you. I like these. I like them, but yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna blow my money on them. If you get them somehow for free from completing dailies and stuff like that, then sweet, I'll run them. But I'm not gonna spend my hard-earned gems on this alternate art. I still prefer the normal one. This is freaking epic. Such a nice drawing. Well done, Mary Magni. Up next, what have we got here? Dungeon Descent. Yeah, we've just seen that. It's just a different. I hate this one with the blotted out purple that they're doing. It looks horrible. I don't know why they did that. Gravelax we already saw yesterday. A Book of the Vile Darkness as well. But Flameskull is a new one that we haven't seen yet. This is received the Mythic badge here. Maybe I'm not seeing it. Maybe it's gonna end up being better than what I think, but it's pretty weird. So basically, it can't block. It's a 3/1 flyer that has rejuvenation. That you have to pay 1 and 2 red. So same cost as your what's the card I'm thinking of? The Phoenix Avash. Flying Flameskull can't block rejuvenation. When Flameskull dies, exile it. So it is in exile, right? And if you do, exile the top card of your library. So there's now 2 cards in exile. And they'll definitely show it that way on Arena. Until the end of your next turn, you may play one of those cards. So if you cast Flameskull this way, you can't play the other card, and vice versa. So if the card that you exile is rubbish and you don't want it, you just play Flameskull again. Keep attacking in for 3 and flying. If it is a card that you do want, then Flameskull stays in exile and you play the one you've exiled off the top. So I guess, I don't know if it deserved Mythic, but it is a pretty freaking amazing card. And I think it's going to see a lot of play, and it's definitely going to replace the Phoenix of Ash in Standard once it rotates out in September. Meteor Swarm we've already seen. Orb of Dragonkind we have already seen. Froghemoth as well. Werewolf Pack Leader. This is all over all of my Facebook groups. This is an amazing card. I think this is going to be a 100% staple in every single mono green Stompy deck from now until the next rotation. They've been needing a good 2-drop, and there's nothing that can quite compare with this. Honestly, this is going to be incredible. Pack Tactics, first of all, and it fulfills half of the condition of Pack Tactics just by itself on turn 2. So you can play another one next turn and be attacking in straight away for 6, which is what you need to do to get the Pack Tactics conditions met. And in this case, every time you do that, you draw a card. So you can be drawing 2 cards on turn 3 with 2 of these in play. And then later on, they get bigger. By paying 4, it becomes Werewolf Pack Leader. Sorry, that's what it's called. Until end of turn, it has base and power of toughness 5/3 and gains trample, and isn't a human anymore. So you can then mutate on top of it. Thank you very much. I like. Although mutate is leaving the standard soon, historic players, that's going to be cool. Also, they're kind of doing the similar thing that they usually do. Like, here's a werewolf. What's the next one going to be called? The next set. Oh my god. The werewolf vampire thing that's coming out in September. They're kind of like, here we go. Here's a little werewolf. Preheat the oven for you. Can't wait for that as well. I'm a huge fan of werewolves and vampires, so that's going to be sick as tuts. We've seen the Triumphant Adventurer. We've seen Villain's Lair. Or have we? No, we haven't. So this is another one of these like questions. Oh no, we have. We saw it yesterday. This is going to be 100% in every single blue deck. I think it's essentially way better than Saw It Coming. Sure, you can cast Saw It Coming for 2, and you can play all those mind games with Foretell and that, but this allows you to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, or counter any spell for the usual sort of 3 mana that any of these counter spells cost. So I think this is going to see a lot of play. Absolutely busto. It's basically the same. It's one of the modes on your Prismari command stapled onto a counter spell. Incredible. A +2 mace. This is, whatever. Probably for draft mostly. 2 mana, 1 and a white for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. And you can equip it for 3. Nah, whatever. This is cool. So this is like your corridor monitor. For those who don't know what I mean, this card. Whenever Corridor Monitor enters the battlefield, untap target artifact or creature you control. Except it's better. So 2/3 that you don't need to pay anything for. You just untap target permanent not named Clever Conjurer. So with the Nyx Lotus, CGB is going to have a field day with this card. Also because it's blue. But you can have more than one null Clever Conjurer on the battlefield because they're not legendary. And you can tap Nyx Lotus, make a butt ton of mana, untap it with the Clever Conjurer, tap it again, make a butt ton of mana, untap it with another, You can even run corridor monitors as well, and you'll see which card I think that's going to be busted with tomorrow. But let me just give you a little teaser. This was just spoiled. Demi-Lich. 4 devotion. I'm not going to read the text. Go look it up. It's fucking ridiculous. Freaking ridiculous. There's going to be a blue, maybe mono blue, or probably, is it busted as like just spells flying everywhere with loads of mana production. I'm really looking forward to giving that a try. It's not usually my forte. It's not the kind of deck I'm good at playing, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Of course, I'm gonna try everything. Displace a beast, an uncommon cat beast that when enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon, and then you can pay 3 and a blue to return it from the battlefield to your hand. So keep recasting it and venturing into the dungeon. It's a bit expensive to do the displacement, but still, it's a cat beast, so some tribes are pretty happy about that. It's a 3/2, so it's Bone Crusher, Giantable. I don't know. Probably not going to see too much play in standard. UNT Malison. UNT Malison can't be blocked as long as it's attacking alone. So, turn 3, you can attack. Be sure you're going to be attacking alone with this, probably, especially in the blue tempo deck. And it's a Snake Rogue. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you venture into the dungeon. I don't think this deserves to be rare, honestly. I don't understand why this is a rare. I think we'll have to see how, again, important venturing into the dungeon is. But, if that means I don't know. I guess if you play something on turn 3 that is really good, then the opponent is going to be incentivized to remove it and not UNT. So then turn 4 you can again play something else. So you've essentially removed some removal out of the opponent's hand, and then you're still attacking alone and venturing into the dungeon before they've had a chance to play anything to block it with. Or in any way, it can't be blocked as long as it's attacking alone. So, maybe that's why it gets the gold pip. We'll have to see. UNT Malison. Interesting. Next up, we have the Drader, an elf spider. This is going to be going in the Lolith deck for sure. Whenever Drader deals combat damage to a player, you create a 2/1 black spider creature token with menace and reach. 4/3 for 5, though it's a little bit pricey. We'll have to see. Probably more of a draft card once again, but I like spiders. I like elves. Elf spider. right up my alley. This should be, I don't know, I'm gonna give it a try in my new Lolith deck on day one, and I'll report back and tell you what I think. Next up, we have a black Goblin Warlock creature for 2 mana, 1 in a black, that has Flash and a keyword ability called Tragic Backstory, and so you can only cast this spell if a creature died this turn. A 5/3 with Flash that only costs 2. So, you know, this is going to see a buttload of play, in my opinion. This is keep your eyes out for Grim Wanderer. This is a really good card. In a sort of maybe a Rakdos Goblin deck. Something you have died that turn when you are blocking your opponent's creatures with your little tiny goblins. You know, you block a big something or another, playing mono green. One of your little tiny goblins dies. That allows you to then cast Grim Wanderer, flash it in for 2, and beginning of your next step, your opponent's tapped out, and you can attack in for 5. That's a buttload of damage for a card that only costs 2. I think this is going to see a lot of play. I think this deserved a rare rather than the UNT, but maybe I'm just bad at Magic and I'm talking crap. But another thing that says UNT, I don't play Dungeons and Dragons enough to know what the hell that means, but UNT Fangblade. Oh, I guess it's the blade of the, I mean, it's the fang from this guy's mouth being carried by this other dude, the Snake Rogue. Cool. This is going to get pumped up by Blex as well, because it does have Snake. It is a Snake first and then a Rogue after. Death Touch. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you venture into the dungeon. For 2 and 1 black. For a 2/2. There's a lot of stuff on the 3 mana slot in Death Touch decks. It's probably more a draft card. But we'll have to see. You know, if we're making decks that are specifically based around trying to venture into the dungeon as many times and as quickly as possible, then this might be a thing. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel. Next up, improvised weaponry. I love the flavor text on this. Anything can be a weapon if you swing it hard enough. Hard true. It deals 2 damage to any target, and then you create a treasure token. I wish it was 3 damage, because the rate is a bit high, and it's sorcery speed. The fact that you get to create a treasure token on top of a, let's say, a shock for just 1 mana more is actually pretty cool. I wonder. I quite like it. Let's see where that ends up. There's, you know, mono red is struggling for space at the 3-drop slot, so it might just be totally useless. But yeah, it'll depend how important it is to make a lot of treasure tokens quickly. So treasure token creator stapled on top of a shock at sorcery speed for 3. I like it. Let's see where it ends up. This is another one of those cards like the one up here. The what was it called? Ray of Frost, where it seems to be specifically hating on a specific color. This one is against blue. So this spell costs 3 less to cast if it targets a blue permanent you don't control. The spell can't be countered. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. I like it a lot. Can't be countered. It's like and it will cost only 1, so it's a 1 mana fight spell for blasting onto your blue cards, or you know, which also grows your creature until end of turn. Pretty nice. I wonder if we'll see many play though in standard. It's another one of those DM questions. You find a cursed idol. What do? Do you smash it, lift a curse, or steal its eyes? So 3 modes on a 2 mana sorcery, 1 in a green. You can either destroy an artifact, destroy target enchantment, or create a treasure token and venture into a dungeon. This is epic. There's plenty of cards in green that are similar. Destroy. You know, your wilts, your tangle traps, your return to nature, your plummet, your broken wings. No, plummet is just for flying, but destroy target artifact or enchantment, or create or creature with flying. Or more recently, containment breach. It's like this 3 mana or 2 mana, either sorcery. Usually it costs 3 if it's sorcery speed, and 2 if it's instant. Wilt, that had the cycling from Ikoria. They always print one of these in every set, where you get to destroy either an artifact or an enchantment. But this has a third one that, instead of dealing damage to flyers, it creates a treasure token and allows you to venture into the dungeon. I like this a lot. I'm going to play this definitely. I think this will see a lot of play in standard. Moving on. You happen onto a glade. What do? You can choose either to journey on or make camp. I think this is going to be a strictly better version of BrewLab recovery. BrewLab is an MDFC that is a land, or you can return target permanent from your graveyard to your hand. Although BrewLab, you can return anything from the graveyard to your hand. It doesn't have to be a permanent. But still, this you get to do 2 lands. BrewLab is just 1 land, and then you don't get to use the other side. So nice. I wonder if we just say that you could put one of those lands onto the battlefield, then it would instantly replace Cultivate in standard. But because it doesn't, we'll have to see. But it costs the same as Cultivate, so, and it is fetching 2 lands. It'd be great if you would just be able to put one onto the battlefield. Anyway, beggars can't be choosers. Moving on. Faraday, chosen by devils. Dark One's own luck. Whenever you roll here. So I was talking about this earlier. There's going to be payoffs for rolling dice. This is one of them. In Izzet colors, in Prismari colors. The Tiefling Warlock has a keyword ability that says Dark One's own luck. Whenever you roll 1 or more dice, it either gains menace and flying until end of turn, and if any of those dice rolls are 10 or more, you draw a card. Epic. I love this. This is the signpost uncommon for Izzet. Definitely going to be really cool. Looking forward to making a deck that's all about rolling dice as soon as the set drops in 6 freaking days. Next up we have Spike Pit Trap. 1 mana artifact with flash. I guess it makes sense because it's like a trap, so you can flash it in. So you're going to need a lot of mana. You're going to need 6 mana open. I guess in a colorless deck, this is going to be cool. Like your Ugin colorless deck that doesn't have much removal at all, actually. It's essentially removal for colorless. So you can flash it in after they attack, let's say, and you have 6 available mana. You flash it in for 1, pay 5, tap it, and then roll a dice. If you get between 1 and 9, you deal 5 damage to a target creature that you chose before you roll the dice. And if you get between 10 and 20, not only do you do 5 damage to that creature, you also get to create a treasure token. I like this one. It's a little bit expensive, this 5. If it was cheaper, it would probably be uncommon and see a lot of play. We'll have to see which deck this finds a home in. I think colorless Ugin deck with Forsaken Monument. This could definitely go in there. So you don't need to play black or white with your Ugin deck. This is just another art version of Faraday, chosen by devils. I like it. I still prefer this one. What epic art. Getting to the end, I promise. I'm also super sleepy, so we need to get this over. You're ambushed on the road. What do? This is a good one. This is a really good one. For 1 mana, it can either be, a way to save one of your cards that they, flash something in and block. You want to save it. You can either make a retreat and return it to your hand, or you can stand and fight and grow it bigger. Good flavor text, cheap cost, instant speed. Hand over your loot and no one gets hurt. I like this. I think it's going to see a bit of play in your Magecraft decks. Definitely. El Turgard Ranger. 5 mana, 4 and a green for a human elf. There's those human elves again with reach. And when it enters the battlefield, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature token for 4/1. Probably more of a draft card, but we'll have to see. 5 slot is a very, very busy slot in mono green. I don't think it's worth the... Yeah, I think this is more of a draft card. UNT we've already looked at. Let's have a look at Delver's Torch. It's a 1 and a white artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. And whenever the creature attacks... okay. You enter into the dungeon. I wonder if you attach this onto the adventurer, you get a double trigger. Yeah, I think so. I think you're going to be able to trigger twice, so you're effectively making a Death Touch First Striker into a 2/2 that gets double triggers, so double adventuring into the dungeons. And it's in the right color code as well for that Delver or Triumphant Adventurer. I think that's going to be cool. Next up, we have Dragon's Disciple. A human monk. It's a 1/3. It costs 1 and a white. And when it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. If you do, or if you control a Dragon's Disciple enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. And all dragons you control have Ward 1. I was looking for those, which tribe to play with dragons best. So far, it's been dwarves in Kaldheim and that. Maybe there is a space for a humans and dragons deck coming up because of this guy. Misaliki a lot. Oh, beg your pardon. Also, I'm hoping we're going to get more kobolds because of the guy who looks like a rock star. This guy. I hope we get more kobolds. Make it kobolds and dragons tribal. I like tribal ideas always. They're usually quite weak, but I like it. Or alliances of tribes, dwarves and dragons, humans and dragons. Next up we have Planar Ally. 5 mana, 3 and 2 white for a creature angel that whenever it attacks ventures into a dungeon. Of course it's got flying, probably a draft card, it's a little bit expensive. Not going to see much play, I don't think. Veteran Dungeoneer. Whenever it enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. Meh. 3/4, nah, it's definitely another draft card. Eccentric Apprentice. It's the second Tiefling we've seen. The other one was up here. Tiefling Warlock, Tiefling Wizard. Flying. When Eccentric Apprentice enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, if you've completed the dungeon, up to 1 target creature becomes a bird with base power and toughness 1/1 and flying until end of turn. You can make a one of your opponent's big blockers, let's say a Elder Gargaroth, into a 1/1 bird instead of a 6/6 Elder Gargaroth, which then you can, hope that they will block with, and then you can kill it because this is a 2/2. I like a lot. Interesting. Looks like blue tempo is rearing its ugly head again, which I like. This is the first wall we've seen. I think this is the first wall. And there was a card that I just read earlier that had to do with cannot be blocked by walls or something like that. Oh no, it was an artifact yesterday, the 50 meters of rope. Venture into the dungeon. for 5. You can only activate it as a sorcery. Well, very typical rate for walls. 1 mana for a 0/4 with defender. Meh. Let's see. Clattering Skeletons. When it dies, venture into the dungeon. More draft chaff. 4 mana, too expensive. Doesn't do anything when it comes into the battlefield. I guess it's pretty cool because it's a 4/3, so it's Bone Crusher Daddy proof. It's quite a big attacker, but I don't think it's going to see much play, to be honest. Precipitous Drop. Enchantment Aura. Yay! Love me some auras. Bring on the auras. Enchant creature. When Precipitous Drop enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. Enchanted creature gets -2/-2. It gets -5 and -5 instead, as long as you've completed the dungeon. So this is like a new and improved, better version of what's it called? You know, it won't go in the Lurus version of this deck, where they run Maya's Grasp and Deadweight, but Hateful Eidolon just found a way of killing things that are bigger than a 3/3 without having to put 2 Maya's Grasps on them. As long as you've completed the dungeon, you can give -5/-5 to something with an aura. That's pretty cool. And I really like the art on this as well. This Gabor Sidskraki guy has done more than one card. I saw another one earlier. This one. Really good artist. I love his style. Really nice colors as well. I think this is going to definitely see quite a bit of play in your Mono Black Auras decks. Next up we have Pastor Sylvana. Vigilance, whenever it attacks, you roll a d20. If you get between 1 and 9, you gain a life. If you get between 10 and 19, you gain 2 life. If you gain, wow, for a human druid, been looking forward to making a druid deck. You gain 3, and if you get the 20, you gain 5 life. And you can still have a blocker. That's fairly decent. 3 toughness. Pretty cool card. Interested to see whether that'll see much play in standard. Ooh, Instrument of the Bards. Okay, first of all, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Wandering Troubadour. A 3/4 Dragon Bard. At the beginning of your end step, if you had a land enter the battlefield under your control this turn, you venture into the dungeon. For a 4/2, again, we'll have to see how good venturing into the dungeon is, how busted it gets. I think that might actually be pretty cool. Aha! Here's our first signpost rare in Rakdos colors. Orcus, the Prince of Undeath. It's the first time I'm reading this card. Flying Trample, so a Frampler with X in the mana cost. So it's 4, 2, 1 black, 1 red. And then the X determines what. When it enters the battlefield, you choose 1. Each other creature gets -X until end of turn. You lose X life. So it's kind of like a sweeper built on top of a demon. Let's say you pay for 8. You cost this for 8. You get rid of everything in mono red. You lose 4 life at that point, but pretty cool. And then the next mode is that you can return up to X target creature cards with total mana X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and they gain haste until end of turn. What? I should have read the second part. That is epic. Oh, that is epic. Oh my god. Rakdos is gonna be loving this. What? Return up to X target creature cards, total mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste, so it comes into play. If you cost this for 8, once again, you can bring it back. If you had another version in the graveyard that you discarded somewhere earlier, so he comes into play. The legendary rule will force you to choose one. You obviously choose the one with haste. The other one goes into the graveyard. You lose 4 life, but then you attack in with it. You attack in for 5. flying. It might end the game. Or, you know, you can have a bunch of other small cards that are good that attack in. Oh, this is going to be super cool to break. I can't wait to try playing this card. Looks amazing. Well designed, I think, and we're back. Sorry for that. OBS has been doing some weird stuff on me. This is what happened last night, and that's why I lost my video, so I hope that does not happen again. Instrument of the Bards. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a harmony counter on instruments of the Bards, and then you may pay 3 and a green to search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of harmony counters on Instrument of Bards. You may reveal it and put it into your hand. If that creature is legendary, create a treasure token, then shuffle. Hmm. 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 Cool art. Interesting. So you get this down on turn 1. Every turn you start putting harmony counters on it. And then when you get to turn 4, you'll have, at that point, got 3 harmony counters on it. So you can tap it and search for a 3 something that costs 3 and put it into your hand. And if that card is legendary, I can think of a few, then you create a treasure token and shuffle. Ha! Nice. Really nice. Really, really nice 1-drop for mono green. I like a lot. Alright, that's going to be it for today. If you like this type of content, keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to be doing it throughout spoiler season. I have already got my work cut out for me tomorrow. There's a bunch of new cards that already got spoiled. 48 cards so far. I'm sure that number will grow before I get round to it tomorrow. 268 cards spoiled so far. Yeah, Demi Lich. Anyway, I'm not going to start doing it now. I'm going to save this for another video, which is going to be called, Spoiler Talk Part 5. So keep your eyes on the channel for that. That's going to be it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.